Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to In Conversation with COC, Emerging Stronger Post-COVID Through Collaboration webinar, jointly organized by MCCY and Law Society Pro Bono Services. I'm Ragana, and I'm from Law Society Pro Bono Services, and I'm your MC for today. Now, this afternoon, we are graciously joined by Minister Grace Fu, Minister for Cultural, Community and Youth, Dr. Ang Hak Seng, Commissioner of Charities, Dr. Gerard Yee, Chairman of the Charity Council, and Mr. Gregory Vijayendran, Senior Counsel, Chairman of Law Society Pro Bono Services. To start us off, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Gregory Vijayendran, Senior Counsel, Chairman of Law Society Pro Bono Services, to say a few words.
Minister Grace Fu, Minister for Culture, Community and Youth, Dr. Ang Hak Seng, Commissioner of Charities, Dr. Gerard Yee, Chairman, Charity Council, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Good afternoon and welcome to this unique inaugural collaboration with the Commissioner of Charities in conversation with the Commissioner of Charities. This is not the first time collaboration that Law Society Pro Bono Services has with Commission of Charities. We had a wonderful event last month during the circuit breaker period, but it is the first in conversation series with Commission of Charities, and we are incredibly privileged, and it is our joy to be able to serve the sector in this fashion with the team from Law Society Pro Bono Services in an outstretched arm posture. This is, in one sense, a virtual family meeting in the charity sector. It is a high-profile outreach. We are very, very privileged to have Minister Grace come and open us this afternoon. As we are settling into phase 2 of the post-circuit breaker, post-COVID-19 pandemic in some ways, from the experiences we had during the circuit breaker, there is an important buzzword. It is collaboration. In the new milieu, charities need to navigate both the actual and digital worlds to ensure an optimal outreach to beneficiaries and other stakeholders. Of course, for some, they need to move beyond the existential aspects. There may be struggles in terms of the donor dollar, in terms of even sustainability questions, but moving beyond that, moving beyond even the temporary sort of solvency or even liquidity types of issues, it's about sustainability over the long haul, and to do so with creativity and innovation in terms of a variety of measures, from the services provided to the fundraising initiatives and even the platforms utilized, which of course heralds the entire digital transformation, of which you will hear richly about today from our elder brother, Dr. Ang Hak Seng, Commissioner of Charities. Could there be a way for all of us in the charity sector to think beyond the solo and the silo into a collaboration mode? These and the other questions are what we will be exploring and elaborating on today. Minister Grace Fu, who leads this sector with our elder brother, Dr. Ang Hak Seng, earlier this year, when she presented a roundup of MCCY's work in 2019, gave a positive report of the Singaporean opinions towards building a cohesive and a caring society. Minister Fu in January said that Singaporeans were, and I quote, a generous people, unquote, 8 out of 10 continuing to donate to causes every year. And so we know that this aspect of generosity is still part and parcel of the Singaporean DNA. And the question for us is, how can we sustain that in as much as we try to avoid the scenario of becoming tertiary casualties as the economy is hit and there's a knock-on effect on the donor dollar. But I'm encouraged by that observation, because I do believe that there is that vein of generosity that we need to be able to tap into rightly and intelligently. And it is all the more so in the face of the present challenges that we all face in one way or another: a disruption or the fact that we're not at our full capability. There is also certainly a wonder of technology that we need to harness, and that requires both an innovative mindset as well as insightful perspectives. And so this last part of my welcome remarks, I spoke about generosity, I spoke about innovation, and I spoke about insight. But they're found in the package of one person, Minister Grace Fu, who combines all three with brilliance. And she is generous this afternoon to share of her time with all of us. And let's look forward to welcoming her in this next segment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Well said. Thank you. At this juncture, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Minister Grace Fu to give her opening address. Minister, please.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for your very insightful analysis. It gives us an insight on your wisdom and a very huge dose of your generosity in your compliments. Dr. Gerard E., Chairman Charity Council, Mr. Gregory Vijayendran, Chairman Law Society of Pro Bono Services, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It is my pleasure to join you at our virtual family meeting. I would like to extend my appreciation to Greg and his team from Law Society Pro Bono Services for co-organizing this event with MCCY. It is important for charities to develop their capabilities to prepare for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Behind every crisis lies an opportunity. COVID-19 has given us the opportunity to innovate and develop new skills. For charities, learning and innovating allows you to continue your operations, develop your capabilities, and deliver services to those who need them. In partnership with various agencies, the Commissioner of Charities has rolled out a series of webinars for charities. They covered topics such as financial resilience, conduct of virtual AGMs, and online fundraising. Other topics that you can look forward to are donor engagement strategy, cybersecurity, and risk management. These webinars will equip you with the knowledge to thrive in a COVID world. COVID-19 has accelerated charities' adoption of technology. In fact, it has impelled many to embrace technology. Working from home is now a norm, and many businesses are offering their services online. The pandemic has also accelerated charities' adoption of technology in two key areas: to meet operation needs and to raise funds. To meet operation needs, charities are using digital tools to continue working from home, engaging their volunteers, and serving their beneficiaries. Philo's Community Services, for example, conducts virtual tuition for its students from lower income families via online platforms like Zoom and Google Meet. This is to ensure that their students receive continuous support and guidance from volunteer tutors. The virtual tuition program has received positive feedback, and Philo's is working on expanding their volunteer base to cater to more requests for this service. The government saw the benefits of accelerating the adoption of digital technology. I'm happy to announce that the Info Communications Technology Grant under the VWO Charities Capability Fund will be enhanced to provide charities with more support in adopting digital solutions. The grant will fund up to 80% of costs, capped at $30,000 per charity. Charities can start applying for this fund from the third quarter of 2020. I strongly encourage charities to make use of the grant and step up your digitalization efforts. More charities have also gone online to raise funds, given the restrictions on street fundraising and also large-scale events. One such charity is Club Rainbow Singapore, which serves children with chronic illnesses and their family members. Due to the circuit breaker measures, Club Rainbow had to postpone their signature fundraising event, Ride for Rainbows. Undeterred, Club Rainbow turned to platforms such as Giving.sg and Give.asia to start fundraising campaigns. They also worked with a freelance personal trainer, Roy, who provides free virtual exercise classes. At the end of each class, Roy will encourage his participants to make a donation to Club Rainbow. Having an online fundraising presence helped Club Rainbow gain about $50,000 per month in donations since March this year. I urge charities to embrace digital technology just like Philo's and Club Rainbow did. To guide you in your journey towards digitalization, Commissioner for Charities, Dr. Anghat Singh, will be sharing more details about the digitalization roadmap for charities later. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of collaboration between the people, private and public sectors to meet community needs. A point I like to echo Gregory earlier on about collaboration between being the keyword. And one such example I'd like to share with you is the Meals on Us program, spearheaded by Loving Heart Multi-Service Center at Jurong East. It brought together multiple partners, such as stallholders in coffee shops, corporate sponsors, and grassroots leaders in providing 2 hot meals to residents in need every day. This initiative also helped to sustain local coffee shops and food stallholders during the circuit breaker period. This is the spirit of Singapore Together, and I'd like to encourage charities to explore more of such partnerships, which can go a long way in building resilience and strong social compact in our community. Another area of need is job opportunities. Many young adults who are entering the job market are facing a tougher time. The government has set up the SG United Traineeship Program to meet this need. The program will provide graduates with opportunities to gain work experience and build professional networks across all sectors, including the charity sector. The government will support these programs by providing funding to the training allowances. If your charity is interested to be part of this program, perhaps to help with digitalization, do apply with Workforce Singapore via the My Careers Future portal. Youth Corps Singapore will also be offering internship positions to students from our Institute of Higher Learning who are passionate about community service and helping the charity sector. I urge charities to see this as an opportunity to expose our youth to the charity sector and get them involved. You can tap on their creativity and knowledge of digital technology. Trust me, it takes the young people a lot faster to set up things like Zoom and live chat. They know which cable goes into which adapter. Much faster to get things done on the technology side. And of course, you can also gain fresh ideas on how to reach out to more donors and stakeholders and perhaps more youth. 2020 has brought about unprecedented challenges for all of us. It has also brought additional demand for social services. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Let's gear up for that challenge ahead. Take this crisis as an impetus to review your programs and activities against the changing environment and needs. To ensure sustainability of your charity in the long term, have open and honest conversations with your board and prioritize the programs that can deliver the greatest impact to the community. Singapore has weathered many difficulties in the past. This time is no different. By standing together, staying united, and working together, we will emerge stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very, very much. So next, it gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Ang Hak Seng, Commissioner of Charities, for his presentation. Dr. Ang.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Gregory, for your wisdoms and advice. Ministers, my brothers and sisters, indeed, we have come a long way. And even though today is a beautiful day, many of you all choose to spend the days with us. And I was just told by the organizers that today we have a full house. We plan for 500 people to attend the In Conversation with COC, but now 570 of you all have logged in. But the number is even more because some of the charity have called me and tell me that instead of having one-to-one, they are organizing this and projecting this in the classroom. So in the way, there's about 1,000 of us today in conversation, as Minister say, as a family. My brothers and sisters, the last 8 weeks has been challenging for us in the charity sectors. And for the last 8 weeks, I've been in close contact with you all. Many of you all have shared with me your challenges. And in response to your challenges, we have organized online capability building. Because many of you all have shared with me also that you now have some downtime. And what can we do with the downtime? So yet we have issue to solve, issue to address. And that's where we, together with our partners, organize 5 online courses, as highlighted by Minister, cover from a wide range of topics. And for those of you who have attended courses, about 800 of you are my friends. For those who have not attended the courses yet, you're going to be my friends. To help you to be my friends, please download the QR code that is available. I will make available this presentation together with the QR code. Please download the QR code because I have put all our online courses in the YouTube so that all of us can view the knowledge at your own time, at your own convenience. So my brother and sisters, Minister have said that COVID-19 is a crisis, but in some way it's also an opportunity. There are already silver lining, we are seeing it. And one great opportunity available to us in the charity sectors is digitalization. However, before all of us go and implement technology, I'd like to tell you a story. One day I visited a charity, and the charity shared with me that they want to implement artificial intelligence. I'm very impressed. But later when we discussed, the charity realized that to implement artificial intelligence, you need to have a good data management systems. Your process must be fast so that you can make use of data to generate insight for decision making. Your people must be able to extract from data to give insights. So the question always asked is this: before we go and implement technology or digitizations, we should ask ourselves, why are we doing it? And I hope we are doing it not because it's a fashion. It's not because COC asks you to do so. It's because it makes sense to do so. And it's because you wanted it. So for charities, I always advise that when we want to digitalize, buying technology is not expensive. But what is going to be very expensive is the life cycle cost. In fact, the life cycle cost of technology is about 6 to 7 times of that of your capital investment. Which means to say that if you go into technology blindly, you are committing future resources in order to keep the systems, and therefore less resources to do important things. So the digitization concept for charity must be built on the value of prudency. It must be cheap, good, and fast. So how to implement our digitization plan to be cheap, good, and fast? And that's where I like to introduce you to a 4-digit number. I know some of you were laughing. 4-digit number. Singapore Pool just announced, you can buy. Hey, we in the charity, we don't gamble, huh? These 4 numbers are 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 what? 3 how? 2 who? And 1 when. And the engine behind this 4, 3, 2, 1 is about share. Because we believe that the more we share, the cheaper the system will be, the better the system will be, and the faster the system will be. So, my brother and sisters, if you cannot remember what is our charity digitization plan, just remember this word: 4, 3, 2, 1, and the outcome is cheap, good, and fast. Let me introduce you to the first item, which is the 4 what. The clarity of the what are important, because only when you know the what, the how, and the when will fall into place. As I said earlier, the what is built on the concept of share. And the more we share, the more multiplier we have. The 4 level work on the concepts of moving from one to one, one to many, many to many. Let me elaborate on the 4 levels of shares in our charity digitalization plan. The first level of share is what I call shared resources. It works on the philosophy that why build where you can use it for free. Indeed, my brother and sisters, during the early stage of the COVID-19, many of y'all feedback to me that your donation has dropped. Immediately, we responded by organizing online courses to help you to raise funds online. And guess what? Many of y'all has responded. In fact, today I just asked my staff to work out the statistics of online fundraising. It has gone up by almost 300%. Best of it is that you are raising funds on the 4 online platforms which I've signed code of practice. Because these 4 online platforms not only raise funds for you as a platform, but also ensure transparency, accountability, and responsibility. And the best is, some of them are giving it to you free. You use the platform free, while others charge you at a very nominal fee, which I call the third-party cost. In addition to online platform, there are other things that we can use for free. Good example is, many of you ask me, how can we have more mind share for the charities? I give you a lobang. Please download the SG Care apps. You can put your story in the app. You no need to build your own Facebook, your own platform to tell the story. We will tell the story for you. We will transmit the story to whole of Singapore. So, my brother and sisters, why build what you can use for free? During the COVID-19, many community application was up. Many of them make it very clear that if you are a charity, you can use it for free. So please make use of them. The second level of shares is called shared packages. My brother and sisters, many of y'all have come to me and say, Can I apply grants for accounting system? Can I apply grants for HR systems? Can I apply grants for customer relationship system or volunteer management system and many others? My question to you is this: should we build the system once and use once? Is there a difference of accounting systems among our charities? By the way, the accounting debit and credit, which was invented some 1,000 years ago by Pasteuris, still remain the same, So the philosophy of shared services or shared packages is this: if you really need to build, why don't you build it on top of someone who already have the package? That's the reason why I signed a MOU with our shared services partner, iShine, so that they can build standard productivity packages, accounting, HR, volunteer management, many others. Because I built once and you use, all of your use many times. It makes sense. So if you really want to adapt, you only adapt the 5% and pay for the 5% rather than to pay for the 100% all over again. I'm expanding this partnership beyond iShine to look at also partnering with IMDA, because they too have a big suite of standard business productivity tools which our charity can benefit at a very affordable rate. Next is shared data. The philosophy of shared data is this: why focus on the tree and miss the forest? Let me give you an example. During the early stage of COVID-19, many food charities asked people to donate food. Many of our Singaporeans, we are very generous. Singaporeans are very generous, want to donate food. But the challenge at that time is that the charities, we are not communicating with each other. As a result, there is indeed a danger of overserved and underserved. And as you know, it's compounded by the fact that food is perishable. Very perishable indeed. So I'm very happy that a group of food charities decided to come together. Together with the government agencies, they exchange data so that we don't have the situation of overserved and underserved. The third level of shared is shared data enable us so that we achieve market efficiency, overcoming this issue of overserved and underserved. Serve where it matters the most for our people. The highest level of shared is shared solution. Shared solution, the philosophy is simple. Why you want to share alone? Where you can share together and get better results. To tell you this, let me share with you another story. One day, my auntie, by the way, I call all our beneficiaries, the senior ones, uncle and auntie. One day, auntie was discharged from the hospital. One charity provide medical escort to send her back. Another charity ensure that she is looked after by providing food at home. Another charity provide what we call support in mental health. Telephone, talk to her so that someone to engage her. Yet another charity engage auntie to ensure good quality of life. I thank all these charities. But my question is, can we do better? Yes, because guess what? Auntie is the one that coordinate across the 4 charities. There may be service gaps between the charities, maybe a timing gaps or a quality gaps. And third, we are organizing ourselves around the charity and not around the beneficiaries. In the commercial terms, we need to shift to customer journey, and in this case, to beneficiary journeys. And it's very important. A good example of this is perhaps as part of our digitization process and systems, we may want to consider a central case management systems. A systems whereby is what I call beneficially centric, that is helpful to many charities, but more importantly, provide convenient, assured, personalized service to our beneficiaries. So my brother and sister, our charity digitalization plans is built on the concept of share. And the more we share, the cheaper it will be, the better it will be, the faster it will be. Of course, after having the clarity of the what, the next logical question is how? How to implement the 4W? To implement the what, we need to address where are the gaps in implementation. There are 3 implementation gaps. First implementation gaps is what I call the expertise gaps. My brother and sisters, the charity sector's demand is fair share of digital talent. And I think we do not have enough of it. And that's why we need to send many of our charity people back to school. But more importantly, another group of people that I'm paying a lot of attention, and that is the board. Because even we can tell them what to do, but if they don't want to do, it's a different problem. It's what I call an attitude problem. Therefore, it's very important that for us, we must open the eye of our board on the potential of how digitizations can transform charities. Next is the process gaps. So I want to do, but the next question is I'm unable to do. Why? Because there's no access to resources. There are 2 types of resources that we want to help you. And one is, of course, monetary resources, grants, but the other one is what we call expertise resources. And these are resources whereby we can tap on so that they can handhold you while you implement your digitization. Many of these, we can get it at a very cheap and low rate. By what? By leveraging on the corporate. We need to partner with the corporate because digitization, as far as the corporate is concerned, is their bread and butter. They have many things that can share and teach us. The third gap we need to address is what I call the cooperation gaps or the silotism gaps. Charities, we need to work as an ecosystem. To work as an ecosystem, we need a digital transformation maps. We need the maps to provide us the focus, the directions, so that we will have maximum results for minimum resource input. There are 2 approaches to it. Of course, one approach is for COC to come up with a map, and then there will be no ownership. The other approach is to ask every charity to come up with their own maps. Then I will have digitized, then I will have silotism problem all over again. So, my brother and sisters, we are planning for 3 digitization maps. And these maps will be developed in partnership with the sector administrator and you as a charity. First maps will focus on social and medical. The second digitalization maps will focus on community, and the third digitalization maps will focus on education charities. I repeat, these maps will be co-created with you, my brothers and sisters. So after having the 3 how, the next question is always very obvious. Who is going to do it? My brother and sisters, to answer the who is we have two who. One who is you, the other who is we. When I say you means refer to I. My brother and sister in charities, I earlier give you the artificial intelligence examples, and I hope you remember the stories. The biggest challenges in digital transformations is not the word digital, it's the word transformation. Because you don't want to digitalize an old solution. What you want to digitalize is based on an improved model. In order to go for digitalizations, we must be prepared to transform ourselves. Transform the way we provide our services, or what they normally call as customer journey, and in this case, our beneficiary journey. We must prepare to change our operating process. And if need be, we must also prepare to change our business model. After changing this, then we use technology as an enabler to give us superior performance. So, my brother and sisters, to help you to transform, and that's the reason why I have signed up so many shared services, each focused on certain level of business capability, or in this case, it's known as charity capabilities. Then the next question is, are you the only one? No. I always promise you right from the beginning, I promise you that I will walk the journey with you. But it cannot be only COC and charities. For digitalizations, we need to think beyond charity. We need to think of 3P, public, private, and government. We need to think. Only when we think 3P, people, private, public, then I think we are able to harness on what I call a good, cheap, and better digitalization plan. A good example. Many of y'all will know that iShine is the partnership between NCSS and Tote Board and Singapore Pool. But do you know that the hardware is leveraged on the spare capacity of Tote Board, of Singapore Pool? Spare capacities. In other words, they have this spare capacity, so we tap on their spare capacity. That's why the solution is offered to us is so cheap. But my question to you is this: where are the other spare capacity that we can tap? The answer is obvious. There are many. You can have spare, can have a technology spare capacity, you can have expert spare capacity, you can have an infrastructure spare capacity, and these are all available in the corporate sites. But it's also available in the public sector side. So for us, we will work as an ecosystem, tapping on the spare capacity of the 3P. Of course, now we have the what, the how, the who. The final question is the when. When should we implement our charity digitalization plan? My answer to you is this: it's now. It's now. My brother and sisters, why I mention it is now is very simple. Number one, the government is willing. As what DPM have said, $500 million has been earmarked to help our organization to digitalize. 1,000 digital ambassadors will be employed to help to hold the hand of organizations who want to digitalize. And on top of that, 18 million has been earmarked to help frontline social services charities to transform digitally. This money, these resources, is a big commitment for the government. And with this big bus, we better hop onto the bus. I'm not sure when the bus will come again. Number two reason, which is the most important reason, during this COVID-19, many of us are required to stay at home unless we go and buy food. And because you stay at home, we start to innovate. We digitally live, work, and play. Remember ordering food using online? Remember working using Zoom? Remember using Play? Now you can have what they call online party. So suddenly there is a wake awakening, a big awakening digitally among the people. We must tap on this awakening. There is a reason why. The answer to the when is now. To do it, we must make sure that we keep the people ready. My brother and sisters, so far, 200 of y'all have attended the course on high performing charities organized by COC and SUSS. I want to increase the number to 500. Why? Because only by attending the course on business transformation or charity transformation were we able to digitalize cheap, good, and fast. The next course will be run online. Therefore, I expect the number to be very high, sometime in August. Next, we must make sure that the process are ready. Earlier, I shared with you, in order to hold your hand to help you to transform, the number of shared services will be expanded. Now we have 7. I'm going to increase it to 11. 7, 11. Increase to 11. On top of that, minister have announced that we will expand the grants so that the capability building fund you can tap now is 80% of your digital expenses up to 30,000 per charity. Finally, in the area of structure, we want to make sure the structure is ready. We do not believe in democracy of words, but we believe in democracy of deeds, i.e. action. We don't believe in plan until the cow come down, but we believe in doing to plan and not plan to do. So how do we do that? Well, we embrace rapid prototyping. I'm looking for 10 volunteers among the charities. Why 10, you may ask? 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals to 10. But actually, it's based on the percentage. We have 10% very big charities, about 20% big charities, 30% about medium charity, and 40% small charities. That's why add up to 10. And we hope you volunteer yourself. We're going to invest in you, helping you to digitalize, but only one condition. The condition is that you must open up yourself so that we can extract best practices. And with the best practices in each of the sectors, we can then scale up quickly and very fast. Because we believe that the action is not tomorrow. The action is now, today. In summary, my brothers and sisters, our charity digitalization plans can be summarized into 4 numbers. 4, 3, 2, 1. For what? Focus on the share. The more we share, the cheaper, faster, better it will be. Number 2, focus. Now, first is for share. 3, how? Investing in people, process, structure. 2, who? I and we collaborating, co-creating the plan. And finally, 1, when? And the answer is now. So my brother and sisters, this 4, 3, 2, 1 charity digitalization plans is built on the philosophy of think big. We must be ambitious, think big, yet are coherent. Start small and act fast so that we can immediately have seized the opportunity. My brother and sisters, I know the digitization journey is going to be difficult. I promise you that I or we will walk the journey with you. And only by walking the journey together, we will emerge stronger after the crisis. Thank you. and you have a good day. Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ang. Very encouraging presentation. We certainly must not miss the bus as a charity to digitalize our services. Your questions have been coming in fast and furious, and it will be certainly an engaging panel session with Commissioner of Charities and his panelists. So on this afternoon, on the panel, we have Commissioner of Charities, of course, Dr. Ang again, Deputy Commissioner of Charities, Ms. Sim Hui Ting, and the team leaders at the Charities Unit, Assistant Director, Sector Regulation and Policy, Ms. Chen Ming, Senior Assistant Director, Sector Regulation and Systems, Ms. Crystal Du. Could we see all of you? Switch on your cameras, please. Senior Assistant Director, Sector Regulation. There you go. Sector Regulation, Ms. Joyce Lim. And lastly, but certainly not the least, Senior Assistant Director for Outreach, my counterpart, Kelly Teo. Now I hand over to you, Dr. Ang. This is your session here. Have fun.
Thank you, Regina. We really appreciate again Law Socks for the partnerships. And because of the partnerships, you can see what is the impact. 1,000 people are now watching this video. Indeed, this would not have been possible if not for the collaborations with Law Sock Pro Bono services. And I must thank Gregory, my good brother, for offering these services to us. My brother and sisters, as I scan through the questions, I just want to give you a head start. In case that you think that I'm the one to answer all the questions, the answer is no. I have with me capable ladies. I'm surrounded by ladies. I'm very lucky. And they will answer the questions. I will only answer the simple one, but they will answer the difficult one. Huh? So the first question is this. The idea of a centralized case management systems is good, but who's going to pay for it? This is a question. Perhaps I can pose it to Kelly, who is in charge of outreach, and then I will then add on to what I think is the next step regarding to the centralized case management systems. Kelly, you want to share, Kelly?
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. Yeah, so as mentioned, we have always been wanting to help charities in terms of their digitalization efforts. So as shared earlier by Minister, we had already enhanced the VCF to actually help in terms of like helping charities to adopt digital solutions. Earlier on, we also have helped charities in terms of being able to subscribe to audio and video conferencing tool. So as terms of this new case management system, we are aware that funding is always a concern for charities. So do rest assured that we will work with the necessary agencies to actually source for suitable funding, and more details will be shared when they are firm up.
Thank you, Kelly. My brothers and sisters, how do we take the centralized case management system forward? There are two approaches. One approach is I can then run to NCSS, because as you all know, man, they have already they are thinking quite ahead in this area. And then when they build the system, what did I say? We tumpang lah. You understand? So that's one approach. The other approach is I'm looking for 10 champion, right? One of the champion, by the way, some of the charity already have a case management system. My question to the champion is this: with the investment from us and from donors, can we then expand your case management systems so that the case management system can now be expanded for other charity to come in? You got the idea? The idea is basically we go for ground up approach. Personally, you ask me, I say, my brother and sister, the challenge is not in the money. My brother and sister, the challenge is, do you want to share information on your beneficiary? Some of you all come to me and hint to me that actually a beneficiary could be the way of your revenue source? Do you want to share your revenue source? That is a much bigger question. And to address that questions, I'm seriously thinking is there a possibility of a joint KPIs? Once you have joint KPI, you got no choice, you need to partner, you need to collaborate. So my answer to you is there are two approaches, but the bigger problem is not a technology solution. The bigger problem is the collaboration problem, and how can we come together so that we see win-win and not win-lose. All right, then I make the second question. Question coming in fast and fury, man. Second question. It will be useful for a bulk rate negotiated for the entire sectors. Oh, I like the idea. So that we can go into bulk purchase. Okay, bulk purchase. Who is good in bulk purchase? Okay, bulk purchase. This is Krista. I know you're looking at me. Krista, what do you think? Can you try to help our sister regarding bulk purchase? The next question will be for Hui Ting. Just give you a heads up. Krista.
I think hi everyone. For bulk purchases, what we usually do is that we will work through our Apex organizations as well to see how we can drive value for monies if necessary. And the bulk purchase idea is actually good. We can try to explore this. Yeah. CLC, over to you.
Yes, I'd like to add on to what Krista has said, my dear sister Krista. And that is actually why you want to wait until I organize bulk purchase for you. Very speaking, in this room, there are about 800 of you all, almost close to 1,000 if you include people who are all squeezing in the room. You mean among yourself, as a charity, you cannot do bulk purchase? I know that there are already some charity that do bulk purchase. Caritas, for example, is a charity that do bulk purchase. They have many members under them, and they have shared services. I visited by their shared services, by the way. I'm very impressed. So bulk purchase and shared services among yourself, please do not wait until I organize one big one, then you come in. But of course, it'd be good if I can organize one big one, because if you order 10,000 can of drinks, you probably get 30% discount. If I order 1 million can of drinks, I take all the order from all my brothers and sisters. You think the manufacturer will not give me a 50% discount because of bulk purchase? So my answer to you is this: yes, in one of the future shared services, indeed I've spoken to one shared services, but it still have not taken place yet. It's a logistic company, because this logistic company has a what they call an e-mark, electronic market, so that you go there and you just point what you want and we'll minus off from the account that you are deposited in us. Guess what? When you buy, they are not looking at you as one or two items. They are looking at the bulk purchase that we have negotiated. So my brother and sisters, akan datang on the way. But please don't wait. Among yourself, can you start to do bulk purchase among yourself? I'm sure you can. If you want lobang among yourself, if you cannot coordinate among yourself, and you want me to help you to coordinate, my staff is most happy to help you to coordinate. We just send out a list and say who want to buy drinks, put your name in the list. And then after that, one of your kids, you pull out the hand, do the purchase. Instead of buying 1 can, you buy 10,000 can. All right, my brother and sister, that is my question to you on bulk purchase. But I like the idea. That must be the type of thinking in charity: cheap, good, and fast. As I promised, my third question: what are the resources given to charity to embark in the digitalization journey? Hui Ting.
Everyone. Okay, other than the VCF fund that we have earlier mentioned about, there are also plans for us to roll out things on sharing the capabilities. In COC's 4321 that he has shared earlier, one of the key things is also being able to uplift our capabilities in this journey. And so In order to do so, we will be working with the various partners itself to be helping you in this journey and walking this journey with you. Because we believe that in helping charities in digitalizing, it's not only about just providing the funding, but it's also providing the expertise out there to assist you and to guide you along the way.
All right, so I like to say, it's not the issue of money, it's the issue of, are you willing to take the pain to transform your business or transform the charity? And I can tell you, it's going to be very painful, but a necessary pain so that we emerge stronger after the crisis. So the next question, Joyce, is for you. But let me read the question first. It says that technology funds can be extended to non-small scale. Can technology fund be extended to non-charity, non-small charity and foundations because of this pandemic?
Hello everyone, I'm Joyce. Regarding this question, I suppose we would want to consider the needs of the entire sector as a whole. And we all know that the larger charities have the privilege of having more resources compared to the smaller charities. So while we will consider all applications to the funding on a merit basis, it will be inevitable that we might want to give a little bit more consideration to the smaller charities that need more help. And we hope for your understanding on this area.
I like the way Joyce replied. My brother and sisters, if you are capable, help yourself first lah, so that I can spend my time and resources helping people who are really in need, particularly the small charities. That's why if you like, I know some of you all say, hey, how can I be a bit biased? I call the small charity my favorite, because they really need our help, both in terms of expertise, resources, and even directions. So we will help where it matters the most. For big charities, I will still help you. By the way, promise I will still help you. I'll still walk the journey with you. But I hope you agree with me that my priority should go to where people need help the most. The next question is a very easy question. I want to pose it to my sister Zhang Min. Zhang Min, this is the question is, some of our colleagues are unable to join. Will the webinar be recorded for sharing?
Hello everyone. I believe yes. So we will be sharing the recording. The webinar will actually be shared on the charity portal, and also the slides will also be shared. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. We believe, as we always say, we don't believe in one-to-one. We don't believe that this program is only for those who attended, the 1,000 of you. But we believe that after we have made an effort in this presentation, we're going to have what? One to many. So we put it in the YouTube. But I can tell you, we are moving to many to many. You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to cut the program into small parts in module form. And then I may mix this module with another earlier module we are conducted so that we can come up with another portfolio capability that we offer to you. That's the concept of many to many. So the short answer is yes, but the better answer is we will even do it better for you. We're not going to just give it to you. We're going to put it into a narrative that address your problem. All right? I hope you see that. There is one question, perhaps I put it to Hui Ting. And this is, are grants available to religious group, Hui Ting?
Yes, our grants are all available. The VCF grant is available to all registered and exempt charities, regardless of which sector you are from. So all sectors will be able to benefit from this grant. And then if you would like to find out more about other available government grants, COC has also compiled a list of all these various grants, and this publication is actually available on the charity portal for downloading.
So you have heard basically what we have done is, I understand that the government is quite big. There are many grants charity can tap on. not necessarily from MCCY, but from MSF, from MOH, from AIC, from MTI, from many people. So the question always the charity asks me, so can you help me? I say, yes, I'll help you. As Hui Ting have said, we all put into one single document. And with that single document, you know what are the grants that you can apply from the government. With one single document. I think this document will be helpful. So if I recall, when I look at the download, this is among the most favorite download by charity. For those of y'all who don't know this lobang, please go and download. And we will continue to update this as the government announce more grants to help charities. Right? The next question. Oh man, this one I take it. I take it. This Sri Narayanan Mission want to volunteer to be our digital champion. My brother, thank you very much. I take you on. You are one of our champion now. I will call you afterwards. Thank you very much. The answer is yes. Thank you very much. Next question. Regarding to security of the case management systems, what safeguard can we offer? Yeah, that you are asking. What safeguard can we offer to protect the beneficiary, the data of the beneficiaries? This one, who want to teach you among the ladies? Who? Krista, teach you. Like, it's about your data protection. Like, teach you. Like, Krista.
So for data protection, right, usually we will require, the first level is that only authorized person should have access to the beneficiary's data. So you may want to track based on login IDs, the login mechanisms, authentications that are available. The second one is also about on what basis are you, what kind of data are you storing about your beneficiaries? Some of your beneficiaries may have already indicated that they would like their data to be removed from your database. Then you should ensure that their data are also removed. And if they are being kept and you would like to, say, share this particular data internally for a certain work-related purpose, then usually we would require such data to be transmitted in an encrypted format. So for instance, if you're sending it via email, then you should be encrypting it, password encrypted, and the password should be transmitted separately. So system hack is also one common issue. So I think our outreach site has, during this particular COVID-19 situation, sent out a series of how to protect data and also on online protections infographics to you. So it would be good if you could read through those and to ensure that your Wi-Fi securities, etc., are currently safe. Yeah, last but not least, audit logs are very important. So your system should have audit logs to ensure that whoever has access to these data are authorized access and they are authorizing it at an appropriate moment. Yeah.
Thank you. Any of you all want to further add to Krista? If not, Krista, I want to further add to Krista and share with you a secret, a secret to overcome this so-called data protection. You know, I tell you the story of the auntie, right? The auntie is helped by 4 charities. Question is, can you change auntie particulars among the 4 charities? Under the Data Protection Act, you cannot. But how? Not very difficult. You ask for consensus lah. You understand or not? You ask for consensus. And if you are good, if 4 of y'all don't ask for 4 consensus, you scare the person away. 4 of y'all together in a single consent allow 4 of y'all to access data and exchange data. Because the first thing I will ask my auntie, hey auntie, you need help or not? I can provide you transport, I can provide you food, I can make sure that you are mentally and physically healthy, I can make sure you good quality of life. But if you want, we have to share your data. You want or not? So you want sign the form, no? Consent at the source. That's why I say, my brother and sister, Data Protection Act is not to limit us. Data Protection Act in some way is also to encourage us so that we can be more transparent. Can I not, my brother and sisters? Huh? All right, I move on to another question because time is catching up. Somebody is chasing me after time. Yeah, Christian charity, our donor don't get tax deduction. Haha, good, interesting. Religious organizations requesting for tax deduction. Who want to answer? Okay, I think it's not an easy question. My brother and sisters, we make it very clear. When you say tax deduction, where is the money come from? Actually, the money come from the people, and we always have the principle. If the money come from the people, we need to be secular, right? Because tax reduction means that someone, the amount of tax pool is limited. And that's the reason why we take it across, regardless of which religion. We say that for IPC status, because of the tax reduction, you cannot. But if you are prepared to hive off your charities, to be secular, serve everybody, then you can apply for IPC and then can get tax deduction. So my answer to you, the answer is yes, but you need to meet the secular criteria. Okay, my brother, my sister. Anybody else to add? Hui-Ting, you want to add?
Yeah, I think COC has covered it very much. It's really because tax deductible donations are really for non-sectional interests, and unless the purposes itself can be for all, the entire community in Singapore itself, we can't actually extend that tax deduction for areas which are just serving particular sectional interests.
But if you are prepared to hive off, I'm prepared. You can apply. You can apply for IPC and get tax. As long as you change your object to make it secular. Okay. Next question. This question, Chan Min, take. It says, I am a charity, but I want to go for digitalizations, including accounting systems, smart building, etc. Solar panel. Wow, good. We think green, solar panel. Who should we approach? IMDA or MCCY?
Okay, so you should approach the charity unit us for the shared services grant with regards to the digitalization efforts. So like what Hui-Ting has shared earlier, religious organizations may also apply for the VCF's shared services, and the type of shared services and the grants are also available on the charity portal. So that's already compiled, and you can refer to the charity portal for the listing and apply for the applicable grant.
Okay, I think the answer is clear. We will help you to coordinate. You are charity, you're my brother and sisters. That's why I call you brother and sisters. Even though you may belong to other sector administrator, like MSF, or PA, but if you don't know who are your administrator, therefore you don't know who to ask for help, by default, come to COC. I promise you. In fact, I will walk the journey with you. As long as you are prepared to walk the journey, we'll walk it with you. Okay, please do come to us if we can help. I have this question. I think I hope the question is, this is music to my ear, man. How can we teach you to be your champion? You're no wonder I love you all so much. Can you send email to us today, now? All right, send it to us. And if we cannot make you the big champion, I'm quite sure we can offer you some other champion. No big champion, can be medium champion, can be small champion. If still cannot, we will put you into a digitalization, what I call community of practice. Put you together, and then we'll support you as a group. So I'm not fixated with only 10. In fact, I want the number to be big, but each of different layer. So please submit the name to us. Don't and the person to submit is Kelly. Kelly, pull out the hand. Submit to Kelly. Okay, pull out to submit to Kelly. But if you cannot get Kelly, get me. Most happy. Okay, last questions. Last question from anybody. Let me scroll through, see any more questions. I have not asked Joyce. I must throw one question to Joyce. What Joyce? Joyce, try this question. Do you foresee charity has problem in managing 70-30 ratio this year because it's a difficult year? And how can COC help? Joyce, lie. I know it's a difficult question, but I'll back you up.
Yeah, the 30-70 rule is definitely a legislative requirement, but we do understand that in this current pandemic, many charities would have your top line, your donations would be affected severely, but that doesn't mean that your cost of fundraising will be lower than usual. So in that regard, I suppose we will probably look at this holistically, not charity by charity, but if there's a need to review whether or not we will not go after any charity, not penalize you for not being able to meet the 30-70 in a pandemic year, which is not within your control. We will probably share more information about that in due time. Over to you, COC.
Yes. My brother and sisters, I know these are difficult times, and I hope we understand why we have 30-70. Because my biggest worry is this: we fundraise at all costs, and we forget that at the end of the day, we take an easy path just because of the funding, and we get the funding, say 30%, and the administrative cost, which is go to a third party, cost 70%. And you touch your heart and ask yourself, if I am a donor, if I came to know that 70 cents of my $1 go into admin fee, will I give in future or not? That's my first point. My first point, do not look it from the COC perspective. Please look it from the donor perspective. My second point is this: why need to pay 30%? Somebody asked me, can I go to street collection again? But my question is this: why street to street collection where you can leverage on online platform to raise money and the cost is so cheap, even free? So before you ask me for waiver, understand why 30-70. But if after you have tried your best, I give you an example. You organize a run. Somebody asked me this question. You organize a run. Yesterday, one charity called me. I organized a run to raise fund. But suddenly, I did not foresee that the weather is going to be a thunderstorm. Suddenly, there is a thunderstorm. And then the run didn't get, only very few people turn up. And they have incurred the cost. Cannot meet the 30-70, how? My question asked is this within your control or not? You think you can control thunder? Cannot lah. So you just explain to me. It's beyond my control. I'm quite sure all my sisters here will understand. But if you know and you deliberately don't want to do anything but outsource everything out and pay 70 for the admin cost and you still lose money, halama, you come to me, you better don't come to me. You come to me, I got 10,000 questions for you. Now you understand? If you have tried your best, especially it's beyond control, you can rest assured my lady here together with me, we are very compassionate. But if you did not try your best and as a result cannot meet the 30-70, I have a lot of questions for you. Okay, I must end my conversation here already because the organizer say that if I don't stop in 1 minute's time, they're going to pull the plug. I stop here. First, before I wrap up, maybe Hui Ting, you want to say something first before I wrap up?
I just want to encourage everyone, continue to press on. We will be able to overcome this difficult period. So don't give up, press on, and let's all work together, and we will definitely walk this journey with you. Thank you.
So, my brother and sisters, I know that you can see this crisis as difficulties, but I hope you also see this crisis as an impetus. That's the words that minister used, as an impetus for improvement. And only when we take this opportunity to improve, we will then become stronger after the crisis. In charity sectors, we never think short term. We always think long term. We always think sustainability, so that the vision is to create a thriving and a trusted charity sectors, so that no Singaporeans and residents will be left behind. My brother and sister, thank you very much. And I see you all in the next In Conversation with COC. This time, I think it will be body to body, physical, I hope. Thank you. Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Now, once again, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my chairman, Gregory Vijayendran, Senior Counsel of Law Society Pro Bono Services, to share more of strategy, solidarity, and safety in collaboration. Chairman, please.
Thank you very much, Rigana, for moderating this wonderful session. Actually, it's a very tough act to follow elder brother Dr. Ang Hak Seng, Commissioner of Charities, and his wonderful team from the Charities Unit, whom you've heard firsthand from, and in a sense received a lot of wisdom and expertise, from direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But in this roundup segment for today's session, I'm going to touch on three different themes: strategy, solidarity, and safety in terms of collaboration, which is why we converge together here this afternoon. And let me begin by just making some preliminary points, some of which have drawn from the earlier presentations. We've heard from Commissioner of Charities, Dr. Ang, about the danger of overserved and underserved beneficiaries. And that's, of course, taking a very wide lens of the charity sector. So, to put it another way, there are probably pockets of feasts and pockets of famine across this sector. And the danger then is that uneven spread. And at the same time, we know that and have heard from Minister Fu as well about the impetus for improvement. What can we do at a time like this when there are many challenges that we all face? And could it be a time for envisioning and staying nimble despite the external environment? At the same time, we've also heard from Deputy Commissioner of Charities, Sim Hui Ting, in her encouraging words about pressing on and essentially to stay that journey, to walk that journey. And I think we can, of course, take heart with that. The question is, does that journey need to be a lone one, a solitary one? And so with those opening remarks, let me share some thoughts, particularly from charities governance perspective, on this theme of collaboration, and focus first on strategy. And so when we talk about strategy, of course, what we need to be considering is this question of, does it have to be the same old, the historical and the anti-status quo pre-COVID, or in a difficult economic time like this, can we work with other charities and organizations? Is that the more realistic and pragmatic option to seriously consider? And so with limited resources, charity organizations may choose to pool their resources and expertise. And I would suggest that there are two different ways that you could strategize in terms of collaboration. First, informal. Second, formal. And when you consider this question of even the mode of collaboration, what drives this is essentially an overarching beneficiary-centric approach, as we heard from Commissioner of Charities earlier. So this is about trying to ensure that the quality and quantity of services that you provide to your beneficiaries will be as minimally disrupted as possible, and that you can stay true to your mission and vision, even in this post circuit breaker and post COVID-19 environment going forward. And so for informal collaborations, organizations may choose to work together informally during challenging times, and resources can often be diverted to addressing urgent needs on the ground, rather than spending time to formalize the relationship. So that's a huge plus. You essentially are responding in almost in an emergency way, with a humanitarian intervention, as it were, to meet acute needs on the parts of the beneficiaries without getting too caught up in bureaucracy and too caught up with paperwork and formal aspects of that relationship. And there are advantages for this in some settings when you need to move literally at the speed of light to try and bring about that difference. But the pitfalls that obviously arise in terms of these informal partnerships, loose alliances, would be, among other things, deferring expectations about the nature of these informal collaborations, and even the common platform, if I can use that term. There may also be deferring expectations about roles and the parameters of different parties' own contributions. And of course, we have the whole sticky area of fundraising as well. And from experience, and also having advised on some of these informal coalitions in this past, there is certainly a need for a high level of trust and confidence that you need to have as between partners in this informal collaboration. And if you have it, then of course you kind of intuitively and sort of innately know what to do, and with that chemistry there, you could get things off the ground very quickly because of the level of the relationship and the trust and confidence that you have. But oftentimes you could do this when you are starting, say, on a project basis, because it's very project centric, and you start off in a sense trying to get to know the other partner also through that. But as you consider a more serious type of collaboration, then we need to think about formal collaborations. And the benefits of formal collaborations would include discussing the scope of the project, the nature of the parties' relationship at an early stage, ensuring clear mutual expectations, resolving differences in opinion at the onset, troubleshooting concerns, and parties can gain some idea of the nature of the chemistry, the culture, and whether this collaboration will in fact work, and so you decide to jump in or jump out, in a sense, and make that as an informed decision right from the word go. The formal collaborations would, of course, be typically memorialized by way of a written document, and it can be a forward-looking one, even in terms of potential disagreement. So in a sense, if the project centric approach for informal collaborations is about really trying to get to know you, almost like a kind of best friend type of paradigm, you're now moving into, in a sense, courtship, like a courting couple, and trying to memorialize things. And the advantages of memorializing is that it lives beyond term to term. The last thing you want is to do something on a collaborative basis that spans, say, a year or two, and then come change of leadership, everything is reset, and maybe the entire relationship gets revisited. So there is advantage in memorializing, in signifying, in a formal sense, collaboration from institution to institution. Now, what are some of the issues you need to consider, though, before you enter into a formal collaboration with another charity? And here, the typical forms in which you could enter into formal collaborations will involve a memorandum of understanding and a more formal type of joint venture agreement. And so let's look at some considerations that you need to have in mind strategically. So Regana, I'll need your help with the checklist now to flash that. Yes, thank you. And so the these are resources that are available from the Law Society pro bono services. So don't worry if the print's rather small. You could easily access that in your own time and leisure. But among the questions that you will need to think about in order to consider the question of formal collaborations will be issues such as impact on the clients, whether the objectives can be met, and that's one of the overarching points. But the specific considerations that we have listed here in this resource include: is this agreement consistent with the organization's objects or purposes? And so you need to examine your constitution. You need to examine your governing documents, to make sure that this type of collaboration is legitimate, it's permissible. The second question is that is entering this agreement restricted by the legal structure? And so this is something that you also need to pay particular heed to your constitution and governing document, because it could come at the price, in a sense, of doing things rightly. Then the question of, is entering this agreement going to affect your eligibility for tax exemptions? You need to consider that very carefully as an IPC, because you don't want to fall foul of, say, a fundraising exercise in which you have not satisfied yourself that you are providing that charitable benefit to the community. And you've heard a question about that earlier in the Q&A in the conversation with COC and his team about what will qualify for tax exempt and what would not. Then you need to ask yourself, is the document setting out the agreement a legally binding contract? And this is when you need to consider whether it should be far more formal. The MOU is really a softer document. It can be aspirational. It could be really like a statement of good faith, best intentions, and something softer, where in a sense it doesn't have to be so formal or legalistic, but as you kind of consider a more formal relationship, then you need to ask yourself, is this going to be legally binding? And here the words that you use to call the document are not dispositive or decisive. The mere fact that you call it Memorandum of Understanding per se means nothing. It's really about substance over form, whether it does create legally binding obligations or not, and you need to pay particular attention to that. If it is a legally binding contract, then of course can that other party or parties to the contract enforce it? And so that is also a question that you need to be able to ask yourself, this enforcement question that arises for consideration. So these are some facets of what you need to think about, and these are resources that are available to you. And so read about it, at your own leisure. There are also considerations about what happens in the event of a dispute, and so you would want to pay attention to some of these questions in deciding whether you want to formalize the relationship into something that is a bit more legal. Now, moving on to solidarity. And for this, of course, you go beyond the informal collaboration and the formal collaboration, and you will be considering aspects like mergers, for example. And so in a sense, I use the analogy of the best friends for projects, and collaborations is really being courtship. Mergers are like marriages. And so here you have to consider, again, that overarching question of impact on the clients. Can the objectives still be met? You need to weigh the culture of each organization. And that's also a very critical part of the equation, because there could be a cultural difference. For example, is the culture a top-down culture versus something egalitarian? And or is it hierarchical versus flat? Is there experienced hands versus people that are new to the sector, and so on? You got to pay attention to this. These are the nuances. These are the dynamics that won't be seen in written documents, but it's basically something you have to discern. You also need to consider the impact on your existing name, because when you merge, you are essentially amalgamating. So you're either having a plus B, absorbed into A or B, or it's A plus B equals to C. And so there is an impact in terms of existing name, existing brand recognition, the value of your brand as a charity, and the value of maybe even some of the iconic events that you're well known for. So you have to weigh this aspect very, very carefully as well. But there is certainly some advantage in terms of harnessing the synergies in order to scale up or at least maintain that same optimal outreach to your beneficiaries. Then you want to ask yourself the question of, what's the size of the new organization? What's the best size to deliver your services? Sometimes small is beautiful, and sometimes it is time to move on to the next level. But as you move on to the next level, as you know, different tiers could apply to you as a charity, and so that means enhanced or advanced charities governance, for which you need to ready yourself. And if you decide that the scale of this new organization is much larger than the sum of its parts, then are you ready from a governance perspective for the new rules in the new terrain? And these are things that you should think ahead of the curve by studying the code of governance and seeing how to then right-size your charity as well by reason of a merger. You want to also consider the impact on existing contracts. The funding agreements you have. Is the merger going to come at the price of the continued pipeline of funding, whether it's from the government or from some other charitable donor that may be expecting certain KPIs of you, and these are obviously very, very important so that you don't imperil that source of funds. You need to consider the tax issue that I mentioned earlier as well, and that was also touched on in the course of the conversation. Then you need to also consider the existing debts and liabilities of the respective charities. Because will, for example, charity A become liable for charity B's debts in the new setup? And if so, what's that number going to look like? And then the entire liquidity solvency proposition becomes very, very different. So you need to go in a sense, being mindful of that aspect. And of course, for the directors of the CLG involved or the office bearers of the society involved, you need to consider, your own duties of prudence and the stewardship of the resources, as well as the duties to ensure that the entity is solvent, able to carry on or sustain, or that at the aspects concerned, you're not in a sense entering into fresh contracts while the company is struggling for solvency. The company limited by guarantee is struggling for solvency, or the society is trying to make ends meet. Now, I've dealt with that as really a series of factors or series of points to consider, but there are obviously advantages. And so, we need to consider it in the round holistically. There are reduced overheads when two entities come together by way of merger. You could share your managerial experiences because imagine the number of years of experience both at board level and management level multiplied by 2, for example. And what is that going to mean in the new outfit? There is an aspect of knowledge sharing. There is an aspect of synergizing and streamlining your funding as well, with a combined message which has a greater punch. And then you come out with a stronger brand, in as much as you don't want to dilute your brand, or in as much as you don't want to lose your unique value proposition. Can you harness that into something better? There are also cons that you need to weigh. For instance, what are the costs, the accounting fees involved? If you're going to have formal agreements, there may be legal fees, unless you've got pro bono help. What are the management time spent on the negotiations for this type of amalgamation? And then, of course, I mentioned the loss of existing name and value of brand or brand recognition. You also need to consider the impact on your employees and volunteers. Employees, obviously, there is a whole aspect of concerns about uncertainty, whether they will still have a job. What are potential pay cuts that they may have, staff cuts? Is there going to be the cultural clash? I talked about the culture of the organization, but as you know, as well as I do, there are subcultures even within charities, within departments and so on. And you need to consider all these things as you bring two halves together. Are they able to work together? What about the volunteers? In a sense, there might be diversity, but there sometimes can be sparks that fly if there is no chemistry, and you need to weigh all these things. At the same time, one big con is if there is existing funding arrangements that do not continue, or existing tax endorsements that do not continue. But these are things that, in a sense, using that analogy of marriage, will you come out stronger? Or will you come out worse for the wear in this type of union? And these are things that you will need to consider as you decide to formalize this by way of a merger. For societies, many times it may involve a deregistration and a transfer of assets passed with the requisite resolutions, of course, to the new entity. For companies, there are certainly amalgamation options under the Companies Act that could be considered as well. So I've spoken about solidarity in a sense from the perspective of two charities coming together, two walking together as agreed. But there is a broader point on solidarity that I'll make very quickly, and that is also the intergenerational solidarity that needs to be borne in mind. What do I mean by this? I think we've heard from the rich perspectives of Commissioner of Charities, Dr. Ang, on digital transformation. And this is, I think, the excitement of the present era as we navigate the digital world. How do we transform our organizations so that we can, in a sense, operate in the virtual world to reach out to our beneficiaries where necessary, and to reach out to our stakeholders, including fundraisers. And of course, I think reference has been made to online fundraising platforms. And the rich anecdote that Commissioner of Charities shared with us about how that has seen an increase, even in this time of COVID-19 pandemic. So that's the new model. And that's been our experience even with the Law Society Pro Bono services as well. But one idea in terms of solidarity on this aspect is really intergenerational solidarity. What do I mean by that? I think many times, I don't want to overgeneralize this, but there is certainly an adaptability and a skill set that we see with millennials, with young people, in terms of harnessing tech. And so can you engage them as a younger generation of volunteers, perhaps even as interns, to help you in terms of your digital transformation? And in a way, this could become a reverse mentorship or a way for intergenerational solidarity. We've heard earlier about digital ambassadors as well. And we certainly can think about new ways to promote this kind of interaction between generations. I'll move on to the final part of my presentation. I've touched on strategy, I've touched on solidarity, but now I'll touch on safety. And for safety, there is the PDPA aspect, data protection, but we've already heard, I think, a very succinct answer on data privacy aspects from Crystal, the Senior Assistant Director of the Charities Unit. So I won't repeat that, but suffice to say that there is a tension between, on the one hand, the need to protect the rights of individuals, personal data, including rights of access and correction, and to counterbalance that with the needs of the organization to collect, use, or disclose personal data for legitimate and reasonable purposes. And so there is a balance and a counterbalance. And as Commissioner of Charities has hit the nail on the head, the secret is in consent, really, and he gave an example of omnibus consent. Suffice to say that. And so in the remaining few minutes that I have, I will touch on the other safety concern, which involves fundraising. When you fundraise jointly with another organization, through informal collaborations, formal collaborations, or even mergers, And mergers, of course, have the least issues, but the issues are more with collaborative efforts. Charities must still take care to comply with the Charities Fundraising Appeals for Local and Foreign Charitable Purposes Regulations 2012. And that means fundamentally principles of transparency and integrity when you fundraise. The Code of Charities Governance makes reference to that in clause 7.1.1. And the principle of transparency is enshrined even in our legislation in section 4.1a of the Charities Fundraising Appeals for Local and Foreign Charitable Purposes Regulations 2012 that I referred to. And that means information provided to the donors or public must be accurate, not misleading. You must disclose the organization's name, the intended use of funds raised, whether any commercial fundraiser has been engaged, maintain the donor's confidentiality, don't give it out to others without the donor's consent, ensure there's adequate control measures and safeguards to ensure accountability and prevent loss or theft. In the case of online platforms, you need to be especially sensitized to cybersecurity issues. And I note that in the poll just now, this showed up as one of the top 3 areas for digitalization as well in the poll taken of members of this audience. So in that sense, the last thing you want is for someone to have a scam using your charity's name. But the principle of integrity also means staying true to your mission. At the same time, not embellishing, exaggerating, introducing hyperbole, over-exaggerating a particular issue, particularly in this COVID-19 pandemic, not engaging in fake news and false appeals, or even appeals of half-truth, but staying true in terms of integrity and transparency, so that you maintain the purity of that platform. The use of the donations, and I wrap up with this, must be in accordance with the donor's intent or purpose communicated to donors during the solicitation, and you still need to designate and segregate this accordingly. And so these are how you ensure safeguards at a time like this, in as much as you want to ensure collaboration in a formal or informal sense. And so those are some of my brief thoughts to round up today's discussion on strategic considerations, solidarity, as you move towards a solid foundation of a merger with a trusted partner that you can say that you're ready for, in a sense, charity wedding vows for. And finally, the safety points that you need to be careful of. It's good to have that enthusiasm. It's good to aim not to walk alone, not to be engaged in a solo silo mindset, but we also need to watch all the points of vulnerability at this point in time to ensure that you do not see your work being compromised in any shape or form. So I'll stop here and pass you back to Rigana.
Thank you very much, Chairman. It's always a pleasure hearing you speak. If you're in need of any legal assistance or advice following Greg's presentation and all the presentations today, and also the panel session, you may email Law Society Pro Bono Services Assist NPOs for a legal consultation with our pro bono lawyers. Now, on that note, we hope that you found our webinar exciting, engaging, and thoughtful. And the takeaway today, I think, for all of us is about collaboration and moving forward and sustainability. We hope that this was a thought-provoking in conversation with COC. Once again, I would like to thank our distinguished guests, our attendees, for spending the afternoon with us In Conversation with the Commissioner of Charities. I am Regana from Law Society Pro Bono Services, and thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us today. Take care. We will see you soon. Stay safe. Have a wonderful week ahead.